Hello and welcome back to the woods at Lone Pine Tarot. I hope that you're having a magical day or night wherever you are. For today's reading, we're looking ahead to the next season of your life. For those in regions like mine, this reading will be about your autumn ahead, of course, but as always, my seasonal readings are applicable to whatever season is ahead for you, no matter where you live and no matter when you watch them. So just translate this message into whatever season awaits you next. We'll be looking into what the landscape of this season will look like, what might be changing, what might be growing, and of course, most of all, what do you need to know as you step into this next chapter. Your pile leaders of choice today are these three cards. Over here on the left for pile 1, your leader is Bramble Bush. In the middle for pile 2, your leader is Pinecones. And on the right for pile 3, your leader is Swing. Pause here, of course, if you just need a little more time to choose, but when you're ready, your timestamp is waiting in the description below. I'll see you in your reading. Hi there, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading about the season ahead for you. And of course, as you recall, you were most drawn to the pile leader of number 8, Bramble Bush. So we're going to put that over to the left to start. And we're going to draw actually your other oracle card. So from the Soul Mirror Oracle, calling on Spirit for your highest, best good. Could you tell us a little bit more about pile 1's season ahead, advice for them, things you want them to look out for, or look forward to, of course, too. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, that was the most prominent card, so we'll take this one. We have, look at that, pile 1, the card of Destiny, and the keywords or phrases are past or future focused / staying in the present. So I get the feeling intuitively that there's something about the season ahead for you that you have either been looking forward to, at least in terms of there's something kind of big that you already know is coming along, or you're hoping is kind of coming along during that particular time, and or it could also be a sign from Spirit that there is something, even if you don't quite recognize it yet, very destiny focused occurring for you this season. I'm feeling intuitively as well that it's not going to be a quiet season for you. And I don't mean that in a bad way, pile 1, but what I mean is it's going to be very pivotal. It's going to be an important season ahead for you. And on top of that, I didn't talk about your pile leader yet. The Bramble brings in an aspect of protection, because of course when you think of a bramble bush, you think of something that has lots of thorns, something that kind of is hard to bypass, like a thicket, okay, right, or like heather, kind of that stuff, bramble and brush and whatnot. And on top of it being a card about protection, it also tells you to, remind yourself to protect yourself, to focus on your own well-being, to focus, of course, on self-care. And on top of that, it is indicative of a time for healing and protecting your peace. So, of course, maybe initially when we think of brambles, we think, oh, ouchie, that's something, I don't want to come across. But really, the bramble bush in this deck's case is more about protecting yourself. As I said, it's about how that symbolism means to put shields and walls and healing around yourself. And so on top of it being a very important season ahead for you, I feel like it's also going to be a very important period of time when it comes to, I almost want to call it a turtle season. And when I say that, what I mean is it's a season of protecting yourself, going in your shell a little bit more. It doesn't mean that you won't socialize, of course, or go out and do things, right? But it's more of a cozy kind of thing. And especially for those of you watching in like the Northern Hemisphere with 4 seasons at the time that I'm uploading this video, makes total sense it would be more cozy because then it would be autumn for you, right? But as I said in the very beginning in the intro, this is applicable to any season ahead for you. So it's going to be cozy. It's going to be very introspective. That's another really good word to use. It's also going to be a time of letting go what no longer serves you in terms of what is bypassing your boundaries or what is something that you need to protect yourself from, letting that go. I almost wonder if you might get, say, the 8 of Cups as one of your tarot cards today. It's that feeling. And so much of this protection and so much of this healing and self-care and making sure that you have the shields up is important to your destiny, 2. Speaking of your Soul Mirror Oracle again. So let's actually next go to, I'm going to do a combination of Lenormand and Tarot at the very top here. We're going to kind of just see some other prominent topics that'll come forward for you this next season, okay? So Spirit, can you give me 2 cards of like 2 different areas that you want to talk to pile 1 about with their next season? Thank you. And then we'll grab a clarifier tarot card on each one. So here is the Lenormand. Number 1, you have the snake, but specifically you have the shedding snake. So that's actually kind of like the 8 of Cups I was just telling you about, pile 1, where it's like leaving something behind, leaving things emotionally behind, because the shedding snake in this variant of Lenormand is about rebirth and renewal and letting things go and leaving old things in the past, just like a snake shedding skin, right? And healing on top of it too. Remember that from your Bramble bush too. Was also a prominent theme. And moving forward into the future. And then your second Lenormand for the season ahead is beautiful. We have the heart. And yes, that can mean love in Lenormand, but it can also mean matters that are important to the heart. Something important to who you are at your heart. This is why we'll grab those tarot clarifiers too. So speaking of, let's grab the mini tarot deck to do that. Spirit, can you clarify both Lenormand cards for me? Thank you. Lots of new beginnings this season ahead. Lots of heart-centered work as well. Okay, this one is first up. We have the King of Wands clarifying the shedding snake. And so remember I talked about rebirth, renewal, and leaving things behind, pile 1. On top of that, it's especially important in this next season ahead for you to focus on, and I think this is part of your destiny as we talked about with that card, where you can shed your skin and heal in terms of your confidence and your ambitions, and especially the way that your creativity and then also, as I said, confidence and ambitions are expressed outwardly. Maybe you've been through a season of being very quiet about what you're working on, like up until this point, this current season you're in, or it's been a season of you not feeling as confident about your work, or something came along maybe that kind of, nicked at your self-esteem, or it's just that you've had to be kind of quiet about it. And yes, I did say it was going to be like a cozy, more kind of quiet, introspective season ahead for you, but at the same time, there is energy here of projecting more about your ambitions and your creativity outward. It's like shedding that behind of, like shedding a lack of confidence in these things behind. And then here I am anew. Some of you might even be starting new, really important creative projects in this next season as well. Or if not creative, it could also be just really important projects that are related to your ambitions, whatever those might be. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. It's a very pivotal season for those two, as your destiny card talks about being like fated. Okay. And then we have from the heart, the 5 of Wands reversed as that one's clarifier. And the 5 of Wands reversed is also a very good sign, I'm happy to report, because the 5 of Wands reversed is usually a card about people finally putting their egos away. People finally stopping butting each other in the head, okay? Also, it can mean that competition is lowered, so it's also going to be a very good season for you in terms of matters of the heart where competition has been a problem thus far, or matters of the heart where people butting heads has been a problem thus far. You're going to kind of see that die down. Spirit is even intuitively showing me here. It's almost like, I don't know why specifically like an oven or a stove is coming up, but as I always say when those random symbols come up, I say them because I think Spirit says those things through me so that you have something to resonate with. Sometimes people are like, oh, I get what that synchronicity is. But anyways, a stove or an oven, and they're showing it to me, pile 1, of like the stove finally calming down. The stove is finally cooling down as well. It almost makes me think too of the phrase, having had too many cooks in the kitchen. That's like quintessential 5 of Wands when it's upright. But now that it's going reversed here in the near future with this season, it's like all the cooks start filing out of the kitchen, and now it's just you in your bliss working on what you want to work on. Your own focus, your own confidence, your own creativity, your own ambitions. that are important to your heart. Also, too, some of you, as I said, the heart can mean romantic things in Lenormand sometimes, right? And so if there's also been some issues with butting heads when it comes to romance or with like partners, things like that, or same thing too, even if it's not like a romantic partner, it could also be with a close friend, with family members, whoever is important to your heart. I see that fire kind of finally dying down. And thus far, you have lots of fire as a theme too. You have 2 wands already. So once again, a really great season in terms of your creative projects and your ambitions. As I was saying before, we just kind of have that double confirmed because of so many wands that have come up. But let's look at your main tarot spread too. We'll see what other themes come forward. Okay, Spirit, can you tell me more, too, about the season ahead for pile 1? Thank you. I think I will also pull a clarifier on the Destiny card, because I want to know if there's like a specific event that they want you to know about, but I will do that after we pull your main spread, okay, pile 1? So the first card we have is the Ace of Cups reversed, which is very fitting with the Bramble bush card that you picked, because remember it talked about healing and self-care? Well, the Ace of Cups reversed is the premium card when it comes to you need to start filling your own cup a little bit more this next season. So that's going to be a really big focus here in the near future for you, because I don't know, maybe you've just been pouring a lot of your efforts and energy into everyone else's problems, everyone else's work, everyone else's things that are going on. And so you found yourself very empty with your own cup. So this next season, pile 1, is a very good season to finally say, wait a minute, I need to fill my own cup so that I can start filling others again, okay? Because you can't pour into other people's cups from an empty one. You need to make sure that your own is filled with self-care and self-focus, at least to the point of, you need to make sure that you take days off for mental health. You need to make sure that you take days off for your creativity, especially, because that's a very prominent theme thus far, okay? It's a very healing time. Then your second card is the Queen of Wands reversed. Okay, that kind of connects to the King of Wands, as I said before, because the Queen of Wands reversed came in kind of earlier in the season, because this is the second card in the main spread, that we might be struggling with confidence in something. And I think that's why it came up so prominently as your theme with the King of Wands with the shedding snake. It's because we're going to shed this energy of the Queen of Wands reversed. No more lacking confidence in oneself, or lacking confidence in our own projects, okay? Or being too humble about things. Now, humility is great. It's good to be humble, pile 1, but I think sometimes, or at least recently, you've been tending a little bit more towards being too humble. And Spirit is basically saying, no, this season ahead for you is more about toot your own horn a little bit more, I guess is what I meant to say. Toot your horn, okay? Don't be afraid to do so. It's healing in terms of the image, too, that you project outside to the world. No more, feeling like you're not good enough. No more feeling like your projects aren't good enough, or your creativity things are not good enough, okay? At least that's a major thing that you'll be working on. Then your third card is, oh, look at that. We have the King of Wands reversed now, just as we got him up right earlier. Yeah, I apologize. It's going to be kind of repetitive, but there's a very strong focus here for you, pile 1, because now you got both the King and the Queen of Wands reversed, which once again, with all this fire energy, well, number 1, I wonder if you might be a fire sign or have a lot of those placements in your astrological chart, or a lot of those signs that you do have in fire positions might be coming into play astrologically for you in the next season. Feel free to weigh down in the comments below if you do know, especially because that might help some other people that are watching this pile, right? But what I mean is, because of all the fire, yes, just reaffirming this is a very creative season. And it's not just a season of rebuilding your confidence internally with the Queen of Wands reversed. It's a season of building it externally with the King of Wands reversed, okay? And you'll get there, because we do have this prediction of shedding old life regarding projecting confidence, charisma, creativity, okay? However, there is maybe a little bit of a warning here. pile 1, because you do have 2 court cards so far here in the main spread. And court cards in tarot, if you're not familiar, can be people as well. You might have found that you've been struggling with, or during this next season, you're still kind of working through it, with some people that have had a negative influence on your life recently that have been fire signs themselves. Now you got both the King and the Queen of Wands reversed, which can mean both feminine and masculine energy people of that fire energy as well, having caused some issues. So I think that's a lot of what you also might be shedding, if you're finding that you're resonating with that, is that you're shedding a lot of these issues with these like fire energy people that have been causing problems, that maybe they were the cooks in the kitchen that were butting heads, and you're like, oh my god, finally they're out. Finally I can just focus on baking my own cake, and I don't have to worry about them deciding the frosting and them deciding the flavor of the cake itself and whatever else might be on it, decorations, etc. You know the metaphor. But okay, so we're definitely working on confidence, like I said. And then we have the 7 of Swords. Okay, so that can mean deception. I will pull a clarifier on that as well, because that, of course, deception can be negative, but it can also be positive. So I just want to be sure. We'll talk about that in just one second. And then your last card is the Knight of Swords reversed. Okay, and that can mean that you're also working through a lot here in the near future with this season when it comes to taking action with truth or taking action with clarity of communication. All right. So let's grab those clarifiers. I just want to be sure. And then I did promise I would do a clarifier on the Destiny card as well to see more about that kind of faded sort of message. So grabbing the mini tarot again. Spirit, can you clarify the 7 of Swords, please? Oopsies. I don't need the whole deck to fall over. We'll do that again. Not my best shuffle. Okay, clarifying the 7 of Swords. We have the 3 of Wands. And clarifying the Knight of Swords reversed, we have the Ace of Wands reversed, okay? And let me grab that Destiny clarifier. All right, that one for sure. We have the Page of Swords. Okay, so one by one. 7 of Swords reversed is a little bit of a warning, some advice. Towards the end of the season, not quite at the very end, but between the middle and the end here, if we look at this like a timeline, you may want to be aware of when you are ready to launch plans, when you are ready to go forward with things that you've already plotted out, that there might be something deceptive about it. There might be something kind of sneaky about it, pile 1, okay? Because we have the 7 of Swords, which is someone who makes away with camp with the swords. It usually means there's like a trickster, or something is not quite what it seems, or someone might be not quite forthcoming about something. And then the 3 of Wands, which is usually meaning like, okay, we've made plans and now we're going to launch them. Hence why I tied those 2 meanings together. They're saying specifically to that, let me draw one more clarifier. There's something, deceptive about launching the plans, and then having to defend yourself, or feeling like you wouldn't be able to defend yourself with the 7 of Wands reversed here. And once again, look at all these Wands cards, pile 1. Lots of fire, as I said. So just be aware of that. Look at things very closely during that time when it comes to plans that you are fully putting into practice or fully putting into action. Because you want to make sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. Otherwise, you might run into issues with not having something properly like defended or protected enough, or feeling like something happens and then there might be like a slight oopsie and then it feels like you have to defend yourself, but then people are like, well, didn't you plan enough for that, or didn't you? Which of course you did, because the 3 of Wands, my friends, does indicate that you did plan enough for something, but there's just some element of deception there. So just make sure to, during that time, like make good notes of your progress, or like when you did things, I guess. CYAs, I guess is how I'll put it nicely for YouTube. I don't see something majorly bad happening there. It's not like the tower came up or anything like that, but I just wanted to warn you of that. That is just one tiny thing. Spirit's like, hey, heads up, right? And then the Knight of Swords reversed, as I said, can mean that there is some advice here to make sure to take action when it comes to the clarity of what you're communicating, and also when it comes to the truth. Because you got the Ace of Wands reversed too as its clarifier, and that usually means when it's related to, say, burnout, or you're having a hard time getting something started, especially related to creative projects and things like that. Like, one example, it might not resonate with all of you, but I just want to illustrate, is like, say you start a new project at work and you're having a really hard time getting it off the ground, but you're afraid to tell, say, your manager, I'm having a struggle here, because you're like, well, I don't want to come off as incompetent, or I don't want to make them feel as if I won't hit the deadline in time. In that case, especially towards the end of the season, hence it being the last card, choose truth and being honest about your burnout or inability to start something rather than hiding it, okay? So keep that in mind. There's just 2 warnings here towards the end of the season. Okay? And then, clarifying the destiny, excitingly, we have the Page of Swords. And that usually means there's something very fated. As I said in the very beginning, there's like a pivotal moment coming this season regarding your exploration of something related to the mind or your communication and truth. So to me, that makes me wonder, some of you might be actually starting classes or starting university in some way, college things, starting a new learning process, something that you're new to, because the pages tend to be that youthful energy. Like, we're new, we're students to something, we're just exploring this. It's something that we haven't necessarily ventured through before. Like, we're pioneering through something. And so you're destined to pioneer through something regarding communication or the truth or education. As I said, that was another thing you can associate with the Page of Swords upright. Okay, very exciting time. And I think for some of you, it might even come about, not even necessarily in an external way, which it could be. Some of you might be an external kind of thing that happens destiny-wise, but a lot of you, it might be more a fated new exploration of the understanding of your own mind. And I think for some of you, it might even be a question of what direction you want to take in life. That's at least what I'm hearing intuitively. You might come across a pivotal moment with that during this next season, okay? But overall, looks like a pretty good season. There's nothing majorly bad, right? You know, I know there's some advice here. Just watch out for those little pitfalls we talked about towards the end here. But a lot of it is a very growth-focused season. A lot of creativity is very important here. Your ambitions are going to be a very major focus. There's pivotal things happening. And then at the same time, attitudes simmer down, like that Five of Wands reverse we talked about. It's a very heart-focused season. I think that's also part of what you'll be exploring with your destiny, is what does my heart truly want? What is my heart saying? So keep that in mind too. Listen to your heart during this next season. And remember, above all, with the bramble bush that you picked in the very beginning, do not be afraid to protect yourself and heal yourself. And especially with the Ace of Cups reverse that came out, don't be afraid to pour back into your own cup and focus on self-healing rather than the needs of everybody around you in this time, okay? So, beautiful season ahead for you. Lots of inspiration and growth. Lots of important moments and healing and rebirth, renewal, all that good stuff. So I hope, number one, that this reading helped you. I hope that you liked it. And of course, I hope that it resonated too. And if so, please like the video. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to Lone Pine Tarot if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do those things as your reading comes to an end here. And as we say in our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, Pile 1. And I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye now. Hello there, Pile number 2. Welcome to your reading on the season ahead of you. And of course, as you recall, you're most drawn to the cute Pinecones number 30 for your pile leader. So to start, we'll put this over here to the left. And we're actually going to draw your other oracle card of the day. So calling on Spirit for your highest, best good. Spirit, can you tell us more about the season ahead for Pile 2? What would you like them to know about it? Thank you. Okay, I'm drawn to this one for you. And we have the card of learning with the keywords of rejected versus accepting. And that's actually quite fitting with your Pinecones pile too, because I didn't say this at first, but I'll explain now. The Pinecone card that you were drawn to actually means, well, multiple things. Number 1, truth. Number 2, strength. And number 3, awakening. And in addition to those three things, it's a card about setting those examples for other people and carrying almost what I would say like a sword of truth for other people. And specifically for you in the season ahead, Spirit, I feel intuitively that the awakening part is the main theme to be extracted from that pile leader for you. Of course, truth is also important, and of course, strength is also important, but awakening is the one that really drew my eye when I was reflecting on your card and meditating on it before even hitting record today, okay? And connecting that with learning. I think the season ahead for you, Pile 2, is not just an awakening, but it's an awakening brought on by the action of learning in some way. Some of you might be actually literally, like, say, taking classes, or literally, like, going to university, going to college, something along those lines. We actually have seen a lot of that theme today in at least pile 1 so far before I recorded your pile 2 today. And not just learning being a theme, whether that be literally with a class or not, but what teachings you're going to reject and what teachings of the season ahead that you're going to accept. What are you no longer going to accept? Or what are you going to no longer reject? It's a season of really deciding and parsing wheat from chaff when it comes to the lessons learned, and what are the best lessons to take ahead with you, and what are the best lessons to that teach you like what to leave behind. So it's a lot of piling and sorting is basically the main metaphor I would use for your season ahead that I'm seeing. And after you do that sorting action, then you come across this awakening, this new realization, and it's kind of a new phase of life where you're like, okay, this is how I see life now. I've opened my eye. I can see clearly now, just because, looking at this card again, her eyes are covered, and what is she doing? She's probably trying to either pry the hands off or keep them on. So you'll be awakened in some way with this new realization, or multiple ones, and it's a season of you prying the hands off. So let's look at your other cards. We'll see probably more about what these awakenings and truth realizations and learnings are. So we're actually going to do a combo of Lenormand with Tarot for the first main spread today at the top, just to see kind of categories of life Spirit wants to bring up for your next season. So Spirit, tell us more about overarching categories you want them to know about. Thank you. So the first card is the Scythe. Speaking of separating the wheat from the chaff. Didn't I just say that, Pile 2? Look at that. We literally have the time of harvest. Very fitting if you're watching this at the time I'm uploading it and you were in the Northern Hemisphere like me and autumn is coming, okay? Very fitting. It's a time of harvest for you. It's a time of, also too, in Lenormand, the scythe tends to mean something happening swiftly, like a scythe literally cutting through things. And so once again, we see that sorting. We see things happening very fast too. It's going to be maybe a faster paced season as well because of that card. And then the second theme for you is about, okay, the woman. Now, for some of you, that might mean if you are yourself of feminine energy, okay, that you are going to have a season that focuses a lot on yourself, which makes sense if you're doing a lot of learning and awakening and things like that, self-growth sort of things. But on top of that, I think a lot of you will be working on, I'm just really drawn to the way that she's spinning yarn here, a lot of hobbies. I think that's part of the self-growth. I think that's also, I'm hearing too, these hobbies will be the perfect foundation for you in terms of time to reflect on what you're learning and these awakenings and these new truths that you're coming to conclusions to and separating, that wheat from the chaff. Maybe even it's related to yarn, textile types of hobbies too, but in general, I see that as well. And the woman can mean feminine related things. So a lot of internal focus, a lot of focus on what am I receiving? What am I nurturing and creating and growing? That as well might be a prominent question and learning that you're going through here in this next season. But we'll actually grab some tarot cards to clarify each one. Excuse me. My voice is a little bit scratchy. Spirit, can you clarify each one, please? Thank you. The scythe and the woman. So the scythe we have, the Seven of Swords. Very funny, Pile 2. You know what? You're going to be revealing a lot of deceptions in your life because the Seven of Swords is often about, I mean, you can see it here perfectly displayed. He's making away from camp. He's stealing all the swords. He's got kind of a smirk on his face, like, I'm getting away with it. But the Scythe in Lenormand is about, no. We're going to see things very quickly and very swiftly. So it's about cutting through lies, cutting through deception. Now, for some of you, it might be through self-deceptions that you're cutting through, but it could also be external deceptions that have been going on and taking your scythe and, once again, like I said, swiftly deciding what is truth and what is not. Okay? And then the woman is clarified by, let's see, the Emperor. Now, that's very interesting, pile two, because literally we have the woman and then right out with tarot, we have the literal card of masculine energy next to the woman card of Lenormand, okay? So it's also a season of balancing your masculine and your feminine energy. Now, everybody has both, okay? So just keep that in mind. You might be technically a woman, or you might be technically a man, but as I said, or whatever gender, but as I said, it's like the next season ahead is balancing those both, seeing how much are we focusing on, as I said, receiving, creating, nurturing internal things versus what are we doing and focusing on when it comes to external things and authority and control and structure around things too, with that masculine energy. And specifically, I think a lot of you are going to go through a phase of finding authority and finding structure and that masculine power through the power of the feminine first. It's like you walk through the doorway and it looks like feminine energy, but really through walking through that doorway and doing that feminine energy stuff, it's like you opening the door of, actually, surprise, I'm learning more about walking into and stepping into my masculine power. Okay, so soft power, I guess, is a really good way to summarize that as well. It's about learning about soft power a little bit more, maybe even through revealing deceptions and awakening to those deceptions, either societally or, as I said, with people around you, or self-deceptions too. So lots of growth. Lots of clarity is another really good prominent keyword to use with the season ahead for you. Now let's look at your main tarot spread, pile two. We'll draw that now. Excuse me. Okay, Spirit, what else do you want them to know about the season ahead? Thank you. We have wonderful. Right away in the next season, pile two, you have really good fortune, especially at the beginning, as I said. The Wheel of Fortune upright usually means good turns of fate and good luck, good fortune, okay? Very lucky in the very beginning, all right? So I think, depending on what projects you're working on that you kind of know are coming with the season ahead, and especially too, if you're watching this at the time that I'm uploading it, and you know that the month of October is coming somewhat soon within the next few months. That is number 10 here, right? Which is the 10th month of the year. So October, I think, is also a really good time of success and luck for you, just to keep the numerology in mind, okay? Well, you also got 10 up here with the scythe, too. Let's see, any other numbers that... Not really. There's not really any other repeating ones, but 10 has been repeated. So October would be great if you're... that's part of the next season for you in terms of the months, right? Good stuff. Great. Wonderful. And then we have, we have the Three of Swords. Okay, I think this is part of why there's so much going on that's quick, pile two. It's almost roller coastery as well. I'm not going to sugarcoat, and please don't click away, but after that good fortune, there might be a little pain point coming along, because usually the Three of Swords means pain. Now, actually, before I even go on, I'm going to draw a clarifier on that because I want Spirit to kind of elaborate. So we'll put this main deck down for 1 second and let's look at that right now. So Spirit, what do you mean by the pain after the fortune? What's the pain? Funny, we have the Three of Swords reversed now. Okay, we're being funny and cheeky. So that would mean The pain point is something regarding, it's something regarding overcoming a heartbreak or overcoming a sadness. I wonder if a lot of you have already had this heartbreak or pain point occur in like the season of now. And so a lot of it in the next season is healing from that pain. And that's why the Three of Swords came up, because it's pain because of a heartbreak that we've already have started to process, or a hardship or pain that we've already started to process. But I don't know exactly what happened. Some of you might have broken like a long-term relationship, or you might have like lost a job, or you might have lost a person, loved one. My condolences, of course, well, for all of those situations, but especially the lost loved one. So there's recovery from that, but there's still going to be a lot of healing. So on top of, the learning and the awakening kind of themes here, you do have that. I'm almost hearing it's going to be a more introverted time for you too, because you're going to be doing a lot of healing with this. All right. Good fortune though. Remember, it's a lot of ups and downs in the very beginning, but I think this down you've already experienced, and a lot of the pain is really just the recovery of the thing that was already like the bad thing that happened. I think in either the current season that you're in right now, pile 2, or the recent past, just to kind of summarize. Okay. So I don't see that Three of Swords as a surprise. So I guess it's just to summarize. And then your third card today is the World. Wonderful. Another major arcana. So a lot of the season ahead for you too is themed around ending cycles. So number 1, ending cycles of pain. Hence the Three of Swords right before it. And of course you did get it reversed as the clarifier. So healing from those things as we were discussing. Ending cycles regarding deception. Ending cycles regarding learning and awakenings, as we said before. And also ending cycles, I think, too, where maybe you leaned too much into masculine energy or too much into feminine energy, and finding that balance, as I was saying before with the Lenormand and Tarot up here too. It also being upright means like a positive curtain close to these things, like positive endings, or at least tying up in a really neat way. So if you've recently been going through a lot of situations where you're trying to bring things to an end that just are lingering, and especially with the Three of Swords that have been painful, this next season for you, pile 2, is precisely when, okay, there are no more loose threads. There are no more loose ends. I can take a breath now and a breather and just heal from these cycles that I wanted to end for so long. Okay? Keep that in mind. And then the fourth card for you today is the Well reversed. Now, if you're not familiar with this particular deck, or like tarot, but you haven't used the ethereal visions, this is very specific just to this deck. And what this means to me, the way I interpret it, is you are being invited this next season to look deeper into things. Now that's kind of redundant because we did talk about like the learning and being, awakened in ways because of the Pinecone and the truth meaning of the Pinecones that you picked too. But I think you're looking deeper, or being invited to, when it comes to your life in general. I will just pull a clarifier on that to be sure if Spirit wants to say like a specific thing that will be deeper, or looked at deeper, I should say. But let's do that. So Spirit, what do you mean by the Well reversed? What are they looking deeper into, or they're being invited to? All right, that one almost popped out, but let's see. We have the Nine of Cups, and I'm feeling drawn to draw 2. And the High Priestess. Well, speaking of looking deeper, we have the High Priestess. She's very much so about looking deeply. You're being invited to work on things this next season and look deeper when it comes to your emotional satisfaction and what wishes you want fulfilled. There's also something here with working a lot with your intuition, pile 2. I wonder if it would be a very good idea to spend some of this learning phase also delving more into using your intuition for things. Now, of course, each one of you watching this are going to be very different in terms of your experience with your own intuition. Some of you are like, man, I already got that down pat. I already do my own tarot or pendulum or rune casting, whatever your divination system might be if you do that. Or, even if you don't use a tool, you might just use intuition in general by itself. without, those external things. You might be like, oh, I already know how to do that. But I think even beyond that, for those of you even already experienced with it, this next season, you're going to delve even deeper, okay? More also into mysteries as well. There's a lot of mystery solving. That's the High Priestess often is about. Things that are mysterious or kind of hidden in a way, at least in terms of mysticism and those things. And on top of that, the well reversed, meaning, like needing to look deeper into things. It's like looking deeper into mysteries, especially surrounding, I'm hearing for some of you that you've recently been asking yourself why you want something so badly because you don't quite know. And I think for those of you that you find that message resonates, this next season is when you're going to find out exactly why you are wishing for that thing so much. All right? Because after you follow your intuition and you delve deeper, you'll come to that answer and learn, oh, that's why I want this thing, or that's why that thing keeps happening, or that's why that thing makes me emotionally satisfied. It's also a lot about exploring what makes me, or you, I should say, emotionally satisfied with things. And I think you might find, too, that your intuition is stronger this next season as well. It's a good time to work on spiritual abilities, I guess. If you've been maybe hemming and hawing and you're like, well, I thought I'd learn tarot someday, or I thought I'd learn maybe Lenormand someday, or whatever other tools you might use with intuition, pendulum, etc., remote viewing, whatever, astral projection, insert thing here. I would recommend do that in the next season. It's a good time for it. And then your last card of the day is, actually, we'll take this one. We have the Three of Pentacles reversed, okay? That might be just one little warning here at the end, especially towards the end of the next season for you, pile 2, that you might run into some issues when it comes to teamwork and people working with you on certain things. I will pull another clarifier to be sure, but that generally means that there's some issue with people getting along in terms of work or working together on a shared goal, okay? We'll see what Spirit has to say about that as well, though. We have the Six of Cups reversed. Okay, it could be something to do with family members or people from the past that you've had maybe historically some issues with. You might already kind of know or like foresee, I guess I should say, like, yeah, well, I've had issues with them in the past, so that isn't a shock that maybe they're not working with me so well. But you might be seeing here in the near future of like, well, yeah, I can see, when I might need to work with them on something. So it might not come as a shock, I guess is what I'm trying to say, pile 2. And then the second is the Queen of Wands reversed. Okay, so that can mean that this person specifically, for a lot of you, is a negative energy, kind of fire sign, feminine energy person. Okay, so could be, sister, mother, anyone of feminine energy, right, that has been having a negative influence. Sometimes the Queen of Wands reversed can also mean someone who's kind of vain or full of themselves or like too confident with that feminine energy too. They're the ones you might need to watch out for when it comes to the lack of teamwork. Now, let me, just to wrap up the reading here, I'm going to ask Spirit if they have any advice for you on that, just to see what to do when that comes along. So Spirit, what advice do you have for pile 2 with that lack of teamwork situation? Thank you. We have the card of, okay, well, you're going to succeed anyway. So we have the Six of Wands, which literally means victory, right? Toot the horn. Here comes the fanfare. You're going to succeed anyways. It's just a little speed bump, I would say. So when it comes along, pile 2, don't sweat it too much. It might be frustrating, of course, but just know victory will come in the end. It'll be fine. But if I do have advice for you, it would be, okay, so the Page of Swords reversed usually is advice to make sure you explore communication and truth with them very clearly. They might be a little immature in terms of how forthcoming they are with you about certain information, or they might be a little immature in terms of like sharing knowledge with you too. They might kind of, I don't know, because of their vanity or because of like how they are, they might kind of be like, well, I want to be the one to stand out. I want to be the one to look successful. So they might not be a team player just because they're the ones that want to stand out and shine alone. So make sure that they're communicating with you and that they're sharing knowledge with you and that they're being truthful with you. And then, I mean, you're going to get victory in the end anyways. I see that with the Six of Wands, that Spirit just reassuring you. But to make it smoother, just look out for immature communication or lack of communication with them in truth. And that should help you weather it all the more just fine. Okay. So very wonderful season ahead for you. No major speed bumps other than there's lots of healing from heartbreak. But as I said, I think a lot of you already kind of know what that is because the way that was clarified with the Three of Swords reversed. So a little bit of a bump there, but it's more healing internally. And on top of that, we do have just that warning about the teamwork, kind of negative feminine fire sign person. Okay. But other than that, yep. Clearing through deceptions, balancing masculine and feminine energy, strong intuition this next season as well. Lots of learning, lots of good fortune. Remember, you've got the Wheel of Fortune upright, which is great. Probably one of the most positive cards other than, say, the Sun upright, right? That's kind of, I'd say, equivalent at least, especially with things going your way. Because as I said, Wheel of Fortune upright is good fortune. And yes, if I had to say too, like one main theme of the season ahead for you too is truth. Truth and clarity, as I was saying earlier. So wonderful. And remember the cycle's ending that you wanted to end. So that was your reading today on the cycle blah. You're reading on the season ahead of you, which I guess is also a cycle. Either way, season ahead. I hope the reading helped you. I hope you liked it. Of course, I hope it resonated as well. And if so, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more, today as your reading draws to a close. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night. And I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, Pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful Pile 3. Welcome to your reading today on what your next season will look like. And of course, as you recall, you were most drawn to the card number 40, Swing, for your Pile leader. Very cute little ghost sitting there on the tree swing. I can see why you were attracted to it. It is kind of a cute image. So we'll put that over here to the left to begin. And we're actually going to start today with drawing your second oracle card from the Soul Mirror Oracle. So calling on Spirit for the highest best good of Pile 3 today. Can you tell me more about their season ahead? Thank you. And your first card drawn is Knowledge, with the keywords of ignorant versus knowing. And that's actually funny, Pile 3, because every single pile today has had some sort of overarching theme of the season ahead of learning or like awakening or like realizing something. I guess collectively, everyone in our community here on this channel is going through a lot of learning here in the next season. And I'll tell you what I told Pile 1 and 2 as well. Your next season, because of that theme, is going to be, well, for some of you, it might literally mean that you are gathering knowledge in terms of, say, you are taking on a new hobby, taking on a new job where you're learning a lot, of course, as you go through the process of becoming accustomed to that. It could also mean, too, that you're literally going to, say, university or college or taking some sort of classes here in the next season. But in general, even if it's not an external literal thing, this season ahead for you is about taking the blinders off, just like these hands over the figure's eyes, and opening your eyes to things. Also, I wonder if some of you, and this is what I'm hearing intuitively, like recently, I think some of you have been going through a time of a lot of unknowns or a lot of feeling like you don't have enough information, or generally, like a good metaphor is it feels like life recently for you has been walking through a time of a lot of fog that is just like the sun will just not come out and pierce. So I'm happy to report to you what I'm feeling intuitively is like finally this next season for you is that fog being pierced. I wonder if you might get the sun card in your tarot cards today. We'll see. Just put a pin in that. We'll see if it pops out. But it's that feeling of that sun finally coming out and like, okay, everything's clear now. I can see my path ahead. I have all the information I need. There's no more swamping around in unknowns. And very cutely, speaking of your swing card, we'll talk about what that means here. That card is, well, many things. It's about fun and games. It's about creativity. It's about having freedom, being able to play, also a greater lightness to life, and also a time of experimentation. So I think on top of it being a season of learning and knowledge for you and realizing and awakening to things, it's so freeing that you're going to feel more lighthearted in this next season. You're going to feel like there's more room to actually play. Just like, like remember when you were a kid, excuse me, and you were on the playground and you went on the swing and you had that feeling in your gut. Or maybe like, I don't know, you kind of get that when you're on a roller coaster too, I suppose. And it's like that weightless free fall of just pure weightless joy. That's that sensation I'm feeling for you in the season ahead. So you picked really good today with that pile leader, because that does mean that, I don't know, it's like a breath of fresh air for you in the season ahead. It's going to be something so much lighter because of these realizations, because of the knowledge that finally pierces that fog, and you're like, okay, now I don't have to worry so much about plotting my path forward and figuring out each next step in this foggy area. Now it's like the world is my oyster. I have room to actually play and experiment. So I think a lot of you too, if you recently have been going through a time of really like nose to the grindstone learning, like maybe some of you already actually like gotten that new job and you've been having like, oh God, I gotta learn this so, down to the T, like what I'm doing, as we all do when we start a new job, right? Or you've been like, say, like learning new hobbies and you had that nose to the grindstone of like gathering knowledge of like, okay, here's the basics. I can learn to do, ABC. But then finally with the job or the hobbies or whatever it might be, this next season is like that, as I said, that open field now of, okay, now I know the basics. Now I can actually play and experiment. So it's also a time of like, I feel like alchemy too, where it's like you're kind of just like testing things out. You're kind of figuring out what works best for you with these particular things that you've learned. Just, I don't know, the joy of creation, the joy of experimentation. Then we're going to ask from Spirit Lenormand cards to kind of explain 2 areas at least of your life here in the next season that are going to be important. So we'll see what comes out now. Excuse me. My voice is a tad scratchy today, so I apologize if you hear that, if I clear my throat a bit. We have, wonderful, pile 1 had this too. We have the snake, and specifically in this particular version of the deck, it's the shedding snake. We are leaving the old behind, pile 3. We are shedding the old. We're welcoming the new. No wonder why you feel more joyful and light in this next season for you. Rebirth. Wonderful. It's very important for you in this next season. And then we have the cross. So sometimes this can mean spirituality. Sometimes it can also be related to burdens. And this is why we're going to, excuse me, draw some tarot cards as clarifiers to see what spirit means specifically. We'll see maybe if it kind of anchors to one more end than the other in terms of interpretation. So, Spirit, can you clarify each one for me? Thank you. Number 1, we have the Hermit with the shedding snake. No wonder why you're learning and gathering knowledge. Because it's going to be a very introverted time for you. It's going to be a lot about going in your shell. Actually, pile 3, this is a theme that a lot of the piles have had today too. Collectively, we're all learning, and collectively, I guess we're all getting real cozy and being a bit more introverted. But you especially, because you got the Hermit, right? And so a lot of that shedding and renewal is about going within your own self and your shell and learning more about life, not from outside of yourself. It's more about learning about life from within yourself. I think that's a lot of that experimentation and joy we were talking about too. Be it related to jobs or hobbies or what have you. It's just so much of like a self-creation focus here. Especially if you are an artist or you do have a creative passion of some sort, pile 3, I'm hearing intuitively this is going to be a very productive time for you, especially if it's something that requires a lot of like introversion or like hermiting out time, being alone, having quiet time, etc. And then the cross is clarified by the 4 of Pentacles upright. Okay, pile 3, the 4 of Pentacles upright usually means the balance between holding on to something too much, clutching it too closely, versus letting it go. And upright especially, it's about something's been held on to too much. We want it maybe to release, but it's been a little bit tight. So combining that with the cross, I feel like something's coming up in terms of a burden regarding something being clutched onto too closely, especially because it's a Pentacles card that can be more specifically related to finances and career and your stability. I'm actually going to draw one more clarifier on that for you, especially today, pile 3, just because I want to know more about what's being clutched closely with the burden here. Spirit, what do you mean by that? The High Priestess. Bit of a mystery. High Priestess can mean a mystery, but also means intuition, looking within oneself to find knowledge, which is very similar to the Hermit too. More so in a mysticism way, and it can technically be spirituality related too, because remember, the cross can mean our spirituality as well, just like the High Priestess can. I think pile 3, for those of you that are more spiritually attuned, or that's one of your interests, which, I mean, I guess you're watching a tarot reading, of course, you might be at least a little interested in spirituality, right? But for those of you that are especially attuned to it, a lot of this next season for you is learning more about your intuition, leaning into it more, and learning when to keep what you know intuitively more close and when to release it more. I think that's why knowledge also came up for you. It's kind of a double meaning, because I don't know if a lot of you tend to be really powerful with your intuition. Maybe you're psychic, maybe you're really good with, the different clair abilities, clairvoyance, clairaudience, etc. But I wonder if maybe you had a struggle in the recent season with you found out something through your intuition, and like maybe you said it too fast, and like, maybe I need to learn how to not share that as much. Or to a lot of you, it might be that it's been blocked recently, hence like the clutching of the 4 of Pentacles, and this next season is more about, okay, now it opens up again. That intuition is unblocked and strong, hence why the High Priestess is upright. So there's many ways you can interpret those 3 cards together. Take the interpretation as it resonates with the different kind of examples I just explained, but yes, on top of that, it would be a very good time for a lot of you to, if you've been wanting to learn more about your intuition or learning like a new tool with intuition, say, I don't know, tarot as an example, right? Or Lenormand, or rune casting, or pendulum, remote viewing, whatever, what have you. It would be a very good time, because, another pile had this theme too, and I think for some reason collectively there's a lot of strong intuition coming about here in the next season. I don't know if a lot of us are just more in tune for some reason, but anyways, it'd be a good not a good tune, blah, blah, blah. A good time is what I meant to say, for you to tune in a little bit more if you haven't been so much already, okay? And then, yes, that balance of what do I keep, what do I share based on my intuition and my spirituality and those things. Experiment too. Remember that from your swing card. Don't be afraid to play and experiment with your spirituality here in the next season as well. Now let's look at your main tarot spread, pile 3. Spirit, what else do you want to say about their next season? Predictions, advice, themes, things to look out for as well. First up, we have the 6 of Swords reversed. Okay, that's more towards the beginning of the next season, pile 3. There might be a little bit of an issue regarding moving forward in some way, or for those of you that are literally moving, because sometimes the 6 of Swords is about a literal physical move. You might have a bit of a delay with that. I'm going to draw a clarifier just to be sure what Spirit means here, but that's typically what that card means. We have the 6 of Cups reversed. Could mean a delay with a move with family, or with a sibling, or with someone you know from childhood. Could also mean, too, that we're struggling here in the very beginning of the season with moving on and moving forward with something from the past that's still bothering us. So I would say the beginning of the season isn't quite so lighthearted yet. It's maybe some leftover from the last season of working through a lot of these past issues that keep cropping up, and you're having a hard time kind of moving forward. But because this came up in this next season reading, I do feel that this is probably a really pivotal time for you in terms of, okay, now I can finally move forward after this beginning part is worked through and healed from and grown from, right? And then your next card is the Page of Wands upright. Especially for those of you that are creative. I know I already said it, but it's being reemphasized here. It's a good time this next season for you to explore your creativity and your ideas when it comes to your ambitions. Fantastic time, especially new things, because of the page being a youthful energy. All right. Some of you might even be fire signs. Maybe you're being represented here by the Page of Wands, but just wonderful. And that's another thing that came through a lot of the piles today is just boundless creativity. And I don't know, on top of intuition being very powerful in this next season for a lot of you, it's like creativity is so powerful that I don't know. I don't know if like between here and there is just very thin here, and like people are just like well springs of intuition and like creativity, and things are coming forward a lot. I don't know. I'm getting that feeling though. It's very productive in those two areas for a lot of you, but you too, especially pile 3. So keep that in mind. And then we have the Fool reversed. Okay, there's a bit of a warning here, I think, with a risk of some sort. So we're going to pause on the main spread and grab another clarifier on that. Spirit, what do you mean by the risk here with the Fool reversed? What risk should they keep an eye out for? Okay, that was the first card. The 10 of Pentacles reversed. Okay, family does come up again. We did talk about it a little bit with the 6 of Cups reversed. Now we have the 10 of Pentacles reversed. That can't mean a risk with inheritance or a risk with legacy or with different generations in your family. We'll pull another clarifier just to be sure what they mean by that. And then we have the 2 of Wands, which means plans that you've been making in terms of like related to inheritance or legacy or generations in your family or things being passed down. So Spirit, you told me what the risk is. Can you tell me, like, if they don't watch for it, what would happen? Like, if they're not careful about that. The Star reversed can mean we lack faith, or we lose faith in something. Like something feels like it's less possible. And then on top of that, we have the 7 of Cups. Indecision regarding our dreams or our choices. So what happens if they're not wary of the risk? So if you're not wary of the risk with your plans with this, they're saying basically that there is a path that you have been considering that you will lose hope or faith in. Okay, and the risk itself, just to reiterate, is something to do with either family or inheritance or legacy that you've been making plans for. Okay. They're saying in terms of advice to Spirit, what advice do you have for them to avoid this risk in this next season ahead? We have Judgment. All right, using good judgment. Also not being afraid to bring something to like the next level, or to move forward with something. And the 5 of Cups reversed is advice to don't be afraid that if losses do come about, pile 3, don't focus as much on the cups that are spilled. Remember the cups that you still have that are upright and full. Don't get caught in focusing so much on, oh God, I lost this, or, oh God, well, this thing went wrong, because there's still something to be salvaged. Okay? So remember that when that time comes along. And remember, that's just a risk. Okay, it doesn't mean that the bad thing will happen. It's just that you got to keep an eye out for something with your plans with this particular area of life that you're finding is resonating with that message. Okay? But if the risk does happen, they're just saying that's their advice. Just make sure, use your good judgment, and look at it as half full rather than half empty, and focus on what you still do have. Okay? Not on just what was lost or just what was risked, okay? Towards maybe the middle of the season. And then we have wonderful, the Emperor, which is actually a very good sign to get after kind of that risk card with the Fool reversed, because the Emperor, my friends, is a card of organization and control and authority and structure. Okay, so even if that risk occurs, and like you do kind of, step in something, you're like, I think you're going to turn it around very quickly, pile 3, because the Emperor means, okay, yes, there was a risk, but now we've got it under control. Things are structured. It's positive masculine energy. So especially if you're doing a lot here in the next season that you already know about, that is related to, say, projects or in terms of external goals, towards the end of the season is when you're really going to make that good progress forward. Okay? I'm going to look at the last card before I remark more on that. I feel like there's more to the Emperor than that, but... And then okay, wonderful. We have the 9 of Swords reversed. Now, upright, it would mean, we're anxious about something, we're having nightmares, but reversed, it usually means our worries come to an end. So I will tell you this, pile 3. There are ups and downs with your season ahead. Not going to sugarcoat it. We do have that risk I talked about. We do have a little bit of a struggle with moving on from something in the very beginning with the 6 of Swords reversed. But by the end of the season, and I think this is where the joy and the play comes in with your pile leader with the swing, remember that? Towards the end of the season is where you're really going to find, okay, all of that is in the past. Things that were chaotic or kind of not figured out yet. Now we've got the structure and authority and the control over everything that was kind of a little bit chaotic before. And then by the end of the season, that anxiety lessens. There's less to worry about. So it's kind of a roller coaster in the beginning, and then it smooths out to this nice little plateau of, okay, it's all smooth. Things are great. That's probably when you're going to find a lot more time for that introversion and a lot of those creative projects that we talked about, and also exploring spirituality and your intuition as well. And I think a lot of the beginning of the season is going to be more about the knowledge that we talked about, learning and taking, what lessons we need to be learned from moving on from things and from risks that we might possibly take or to be aware of, right? But yeah, great end of the season. I mean, there's nothing really majorly bad either. There's no Tower. There's no, 10 of Cups reversed. There's no really bad thing. Or there's, no Wheel of Fortune reversed here, pile 3. And I think, was it you that I said you might get the Sun? Because it feels like a Sun kind of season to me. I think it was you that I said that. I said, put a pin in it, you might get the Sun. You didn't get the Sun, but we do have that clarity here at the end, especially the fog. A lot of the fog so far maybe has even been anxiety, and that's why the 9 of Swords came out reversed at the very end of your season, because it's finally that fog of anxiety clears. Because of it, no wonder why. Very understandable that you'd be anxious because, you're working through some stuff here in the beginning, but just like the snake shedding we talked about before, it's there's a rebirth, there's a renewal. All right, there's a reawakening. So now we can finally, by the end of the season, play and experiment and feel that lightness and that joy of soul. Okay? So even if you struggle with some things in the beginning of the season, just know the lightness is coming towards the end of it. And I think, too, there probably is lightness interspersed even throughout these lessons, too. Just be willing to have your hope or your faith in things remain as they are, okay? You'll truck on through, you'll be just fine. And 2, remember, play with your intuition. Play with your spiritual abilities. It's a good time. And your creativity. Remember that, too. Everybody in this, every pile today is, great with creativity. Great with intuition this next season. So I advise you to play with that, too. All right, so that was a reading today, pile 3 on the next season. I hope, of course, that you liked the reading, it helped you, and also that it resonated. If so, please like the video, please comment down below, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'm always eternally grateful and thankful for that interaction, for your feedback and subscriptions as well, of course. Every little bit helps the channel out so much, hence my gratefulness when you do choose to like, comment, and subscribe. So, with that being said, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, pile 3, and I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye now.